and welcome to another episode of Classroom. In a couple of days from now, we're going to step into something called the monetary and credit policy. You've heard about it before. You've seen how money markets and equity markets make a big deal out of it. But why is it important, both for you and me as average lenders in the system, and also more importantly for these financial markets we're talking about? Two experts join in for more on that. A.K. Purwar, industry expert for the financial space, also the former chairman of the SBI, a man who understands very carefully what the credit policy and monetary policy is about. And for more on the impact for money markets, Dhawal Dalal of TSP BlackRock. Gentlemen, great to have you on the show. Mr. Purwar, let me start first with laying the bedrock of this. What does one mean when one talks about the monetary and credit policy?
Well, in this policy, the RBI takes into account what has happened so far in the financial system, what has happened so far on the credit side. And after taking into account and carefully evaluating, then it comes out with proper policy announcements, particularly in respect of the interest rates, particularly in respect of interest on credit side, particularly in respect of liquidity, how much liquidity should be there, and also various other important parameters which are important for the banking system. So money supply, interest rates. Also, Mr. Purwar, the policy document aims at talking about both future forecasts and inflation forecasts as well, right? So in that, does it set the backdrop of the economy? Always, inflation rates, we must always remember that inflation rates are always very closely linked to how other factors are working in the economy, what kind of money supply is there, what kind of various deficits are there in the economy, physical deficit and all. And after taking into all these factors, RBI makes a very careful assessment of how they are projecting the inflation rates in times to come. It's a very important policy announcement and also an indication as to how RBI feels as to what it is going to be in times to come.
How often do these policy announcements get made, Mr. Purwar, and also on the subject of inter-policy announcements sometimes? Why does that happen?
The policy announcement generally RBI makes twice a year in a very formal manner. Once in the start of the busy season, sometimes in October, November, and sometimes in June, July. But having said that, the economy is always always an evolving kind of a position. And therefore, if there are any emergent situations, RBI always comes out with proactive steps to sort of announcements so as to ensure that, the emergency things get addressed. So, for example, the reduction in the repo rate and reverse repo rate. If last 6 months, 8 months are any guide, RBI has promptly responded to the demands of the market and to the conditions of the market.